Hello and welcome to the Freelance Festival, where each week we meet new business owners who share their expertise on how to run a successful business. This week it's all about finding your why, understanding why you're passionate about the things that you do and how you can use that information when marketing your business and creating a niche. For this video, we've teamed up with Leadership and Organisational Development Manager Adrian.
Welcome to the Freelance Festival 2021. My name's Adrian Piggott, and I am a Leadership and Organisational Development Senior Advisor within the NHS. Part of my role is I deliver leadership development, I commission leadership programs, and I also do behavioural science around organisational development, improving teams and services to improve the way that they deliver services within the NHS. So what I'm here to talk about today is actually about finding your passion or finding your why, and why that's important for you as a freelancer, as well as working within a company or for an organisation such as the NHS. Now, I say that within my role, I'm a leadership development, I'm a commissioner, I'm a contractor, I'm a coach, I do a lot of executive coaching, and I'm a facilitator. But what I'm going to take you through now is actually what I think I really do. So yes, I do work for the NHS. And as you can see, I do a lot of contracting meetings, meeting freelance organisations and individuals who are coming to offer their services within the NHS. I also do the coaching, so I do one-to-one meetings, and I also do group work, working with a number of teams in certainly what is probably our most challenging period the NHS has ever been through. So I'm finding that myself and my team are used quite regularly to help teams through difficult times, particularly through reminding them about what really matters at work, what really matters for them in terms of giving great care during extremely difficult periods. But I suppose for me, what do I really do? Well, whilst I might do those things, that's what I do. Actually, why I do those things is I believe I help people think to reach their full potential. I help people think to reach their full potential. So for me, I see myself as a thinking partner, a thinking advocate, a provocateur, a thinking challenger, a thinking facilitator. Almost everything that I do, whether it's in my personal life or my professional life, is about enabling people to think. My goal through their ability to think potentially more clearly about what they're trying to achieve, either on an individual or group basis, or a service, or as an organisation, is that they really try to find their passion and their meaning in their work to really fulfil their potential as an individual, a group, a team, a service, or an organisation. So when I come into contact with people, when I'm facilitating groups, whether it's in this country or abroad, I've done teaching in India, I've gone out to China to do work. It's the same thing. What I sell is me. What I'm selling is the fact that what they can expect is to experience thinking, and thinking in very different ways. And for me, working in different countries especially, that's been incredibly challenging, because it's forced me to think differently. And every experience I have not only enables them to think and think about their potential, but also it helps me to think about my own. Within my private life, I'm actually a hike leader for an organisation called Outdoor Lads. And within that sort of hiking, I do exactly the same thing. Whilst I may be leading a hike, usually with a group from anything from 5 to 30 people. Actually, one of the things I try to do is I try to find out as much as I can about each person on that walk, which, believe me, when there's 30 people, that's a lot of knowledge to kind of hold and try and remember who did you talk to and what do they do? Because when you're meeting people you don't know, the first question that you ask, and I'm sure you've done it yourself at dinner parties, is what is it that you do? And I can tell you now, out of talking to 30 people on a hike, where I'm also trying to pay attention to where we're going, to ensure that we're actually having a good experience and that we're meeting the full potential of the walk, it's really hard to try and concentrate and try to remember and recall. And after, I suppose, doing this for years, there are still people that I've been on walks with where I absolutely remember what they do. And the reason I remember what they do is because they didn't just say they're an accountant or they worked in a shop or that they were a lawyer or a doctor. It's because actually there was something in what they were talking about that demonstrated their passion for what they were trying to do. They talked about something higher than just the job itself. So on my walks, one of the things I learned, particularly to help me just remember who they were and kind of create a bit of familiarity, was as soon as they started telling me what they did, I very quickly moved the conversation to why they did that. And one of the things I found really fascinating about that is how few people had ever been asked that question. For some, they'd never even thought about, well, why is it I do what I do? And I'm afraid, certainly on some experiences, I think that I created thinking in people to really stop and actually think about, hang on a sec, why do I do what I do? Is this what I want to be doing? And quite often what we found is that these passing conversations actually became coaching conversations. So I learned to become a hiking coach. As you can see from one of my images, I actually tend to lead my walks from the rear so that I try to give people at the front the opportunity to experience leading. But to do that, I need to find out that they've got some passion or some interest in it. So I think part of my role is, helping people to think about what is their potential here, what is their passion, and bringing it out of them. One of the things I find really helpful about understanding my why is that because it brings out of me my passion, people can see it and they can feel it. And one of the things that I get commented on very regularly is the fact that people can feel my passion. They warm to that passion. Now, I work within the NHS and I actually work within a hospital at the moment. But even though I'm an employee and I'm there to help build better organizations through behavioural science, effectively, I am an internal consultant. I'm a freelancer. I just happen to have a team with me. But nobody has to work with me. I have to try and engage them in a way that they actually want to buy my service. And for me, buying my service means them giving up their most valuable asset, which is their time. Now, if I can't convince them that actually that's going to be a valuable experience, it's going to help their team, their service, and actually their product, which at the end of the day for the NHS is improving patient lives and patient experience, then they're just going to shut the door. And so one of the things that I do is right from the beginning is I demonstrate what my why is. Even when I'm contracting or that first contact with a manager or leader or a team is kind of showing real interest in their thinking. What do they think the issues are that they're facing? What do they think the potential solutions are? And I bring to bear tools to help them think. I don't turn up to give them all the answers. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a manager. I haven't run services. That isn't my gift, what I can bring to them. But what I can bring them is the ability to step back and rethink about what they're doing and why they are doing it. The other thing that knowing your why and being passionate about your why is that it enables you to make decisions about what you do and what you don't. So quite often I will find myself saying no to pieces of work. Certainly when I was within a commissioning organisation within the NHS working with dozens of organisations across the area that I live in, I was quite often offered very lucrative contracts. And there was one in particular which did cause a bit of challenge for me in terms of losing my company some funding, where through the contract conversation, what the client was asking for, I just wasn't passionate in. And actually, I would have really struggled with. Actually, what they were looking for was a project manager. What I was offering was a thinker. So I said, I can help you think through your things to ensure that the massive service transformation they wanted to do would work well. But actually, that wasn't what they were looking for. They were looking for a project manager. So I said no. But what I did do is to say, but I think I know somebody who might. And I actually signposted them to somebody who was absolutely perfect project managing, certainly way beyond my skills. Now, I could have done it. I could have forced myself and I could have won some of that contract. But I know, because it didn't fit with my why, it didn't fit with my passion, that as soon as we started to hit some challenges or some difficulties, working outside of my passion, and for everybody working outside of their passion, means you just end up with stress for you and stress for your client, and you increase the likelihood of failing. And there's nothing worse than committing to a client that you can do something and not delivering on that. Far better to say no and saying, but this is actually what I can offer you, will get you a brand with that client. So with the particular example I'm talking about, yes, I didn't get that particular contract and I did get a bit of hot water because of it. But actually 3 months later, they came back to us because they said, actually, that thing that we were talking about 3 months ago is exactly what we need now. So we don't need that project manager anymore. Who we need is you. And I'm so glad I didn't do the project management stuff, because it turned out that it was a complete nightmare. And actually what they really needed was a thinker. So what did I learn from that? Well, certainly within that role, I did a lot of contract management. So it was my job to commission services to support NHS organisations across the area that I lived in. And I can't tell you how many interviews I had to do with freelancers, whether they were independent consultants or part of a small consultancy body. Every time that we went out to commission, I had between 10 and 40 people come back saying that they could pitch for the particular contract. Now, I was pitching dozens of these at a time. You know, I had £500,000 of work that I was giving out in one quarter. And I can't tell you how laborious it can be to go to try and sift through 30 to 40 of those for each of those proposals that you're doing. And so we would whittle down, and you get very tired very quickly sorting through the massive competition, because everybody's saying pretty much the same thing. Now, there's some clever marketing things you can do. You can say a 2-for-1 deal. You can say, we're the best, we've got a great reputation. You could say, actually, I can do it cheaper than the competition. Now, those things do help to a degree, but I tell you what, all the competition are doing that. And I think certainly looking forward in 2021, 2022, particularly because of a lot of people that I think have started to relook at their careers. There's a lot of people that are becoming unemployed, and a lot of people that could well easily move into consultancy and freelancing. The competition is going to get even more fierce. Now, that means for people like me, who are actually commissioning freelancers and contractors, how do we sort through all of that noise? Because instead of 10 or 20 or 30 applications, you might get 50, 60, 80 applications saying, yeah, I can do that. I'm great at whatever it is that you're trying to provide. And even when we got down to the interview stage, where we were doing face-to-face stuff, I can't tell you the number of times I fell asleep because I just didn't pay attention to what they were saying, because it all just merged into one. And I want to talk about one particular contract that it was a particularly sizable contract, and I want to talk about why they won that. Now, there's a particular picture, and it's me with a sheep. Now, it's a very interesting way to win a contract by using sheep. But this particular company decided to not only create quite a novel way of meeting the need of my organization, which was around teaching leaders how to sheep herd, and getting us out there to actually experience their product was amazing. So there was a novelty factor that drew us in, but that wasn't what won the contract. What won the contract, and it was actually more pricey than the other contracts that we whittled down to, was the fact that they had a very clear purpose. They said, our business is about creating change in society. And I absolutely remember that. Literally your opening thing is you want to change society. And here you are pitching for a leadership program that actually, whilst that would kind of connect, that just seems massive. And they said, no, we want to tell you why we want to change society, because we think if we've got the right leaders in the right place, particularly in the NHS, biggest employer in, well, the second biggest employer in the world, and certainly the biggest employer in the UK, reaches millions and millions of people. We think if we can do that, we can help change society. And it just wowed us. And I've never forgotten them. And that was 3 years ago now. And I remember their pitch because what I felt and what I connected with was their passion that came through their purpose. So what I'd like you to think about now is why do we buy what we buy? And by buy, I mean anything from your fridge to buying into our brand, buying into following a football team, whatever it might be. So when we buy into something, actually, whilst we might look at, compare the market to see which one's the cheapest one, when we go into buying long-term into a product, actually it becomes more about, we don't buy what they do, we buy why they do it. What is the purpose and the message of that particular company that resonates for us? So people do not buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Now, it is arguable that so people will just buy things because it's a cheap product. But when you think long term about why they buy into brands, why they connect with things and carry on buying from something, it's definitely because they've created an emotional connection with the why of that particular company. So if we look at Nike, in 2018, they ran a campaign which was believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. Now, you might remember this because it was very controversial. They used a guy called Colin Kaepernick, and he was an NFL player that took the knee during the national anthem because of racism. And it was kind of connected with the beginning of the Black Lives Matters movement that kind of launched, and Trump had very serious views. Now, he actually pretty much sacrificed his career on that because he ended up being, as he said, blackballed because he took a stand for what he believes in. So Nike took the risk of using him and using that slogan on their product because they really wanted to send out a message. They wanted to send out a message around racism and Black Lives Matter. Now, actually, the result of that was that there was a boycott campaign against Nike. The result is that they had a 25% increase in their sales purely by taking a stance on this topic and showing what they valued and what they were about. So it moved on from they just do it into really branding who they're about. Now, the other company, of course, that is absolutely brilliant at really defining what it is about and what its why is Apple. People will buy Apple products, whatever they might be, put an Apple stamp on it and they'll buy it. It definitely isn't cheap, but there's other competition out there which actually could be more user-friendly than some of Apple. But people buy the products because they buy the company. They believe in what Apple stands for. So what they're buying is the idea of Apple. So where is this coming from and how could it help you? So if we just looked at Apple, for instance, I want to kind of connect the Apple idea with you and your potential as a freelancer so that you can try and consider what your brand is, what it is that you are offering to your clients, what is it that you are effectively selling. So just remember, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Certainly when you're a freelancer, I think that certainly what you will find, if you're not finding already, and certainly I found it, is I'm not just buying your product, I'm buying you as well. So who are you? What are you about? Why is it that I should pick you as an individual where there might be a big company that I can go and do business with? And actually, I think this is where small companies and entrepreneurs and freelancers actually can have the edge. Because if I get a phone call from a company, what I'm getting is somebody who's been paid to phone me up from the sales team of this company. And quite often companies are not great at selling their why. You know, why do we exist as a company? Why should people buy us? So the salesperson will have a list of their products, we're the cheapest, we're best rated, blah, blah, blah. But one thing you don't get is you don't get the connection. You know, we're not there to connect. But I think when it comes to a freelancer, when it comes to independent contractors or consultants, actually you have the chance to put your personality into it. Because when I'm talking to a salesperson, I know that that person isn't going to be the person that's going to be delivering my service. There's going to be other teams, there's going to be other service providers behind that individual. Whereas with a freelancer, you are your product. So the more that you can sell your passion, the more that somebody's going to be able to connect with you. So let's go through something that's a favorite model of mine, and it really has guided me professionally and personally, probably over the last 7 or 8 years, actually, when I came across it. So the model that I want to show you is by a guy called Simon Sinek. And I would really recommend his books, of which there's quite a few, but Finding Your Why would be a great thing, I think, for freelancers to look at. You've got the Start With Why as well, which I think is really good when you're designing a company to kind of really ensure that the company is doing what Apple does. If you're not into buying books, there's loads of YouTubes, and I really would recommend his YouTube on this, and he can certainly articulate this better than I can. So I'm not saying I'm an expert in this, but this is what certainly guided me, and certainly what I've used with numbers of teams over the years to quite a lot of success, actually. So thank you to Simon Sinek. So back to Simon's idea that people buy why you do it, not what you do. He reckons that actually where you should start within any conversation about your business or who you are is actually starting with that central bit of what is your why? What's the purpose of your company? So you will know, although it might be quite hard to articulate at first, why you started doing what you do now. You know, why are you a freelancer in the particular field that you're a freelancer in? What drove you to that? Now, it won't be money. Money will certainly help. Money's like fuel in the car. It helps you get from A to B, but it's not the car. The car and the destination you're getting to is about you. It's about your passion, your direction, and what it is that you can offer for that. So why did you choose to do this as opposed to doing something that could have actually been better paid? So what people are buying into is your purpose, your particular why. Why should I believe in what you believe? Why should I buy into you? And that's what you're selling. So he recommends you start with why. The how bit is kind of the process. How are you going to realize your particular why? So my why is to help people think to reach their full potential. That's my why. My how I get people to do this that's when I'm start talking about, well, I'm a coach, I'm a facilitator, I'm a team coach. I can do all of these things that create spaces for you to think to reach your full potential. And then we can kind of go, so what is it? What is the product that we're actually talking about that I can offer you right now? And that's where we start to get into the contracting of the bits and the bobs of the project managing of the pieces of work that will enable people to experience really good quality thinking spaces in order to think better to deliver their particular service. So the why is I'll be able to help you, your team, your service, your organization think differently and reach its full potential. How I do that is by creating really great relationships and safe spaces for people to really explore that. And what will I be doing? Well, I'm a leadership development trainer and facilitator, and I use behavioral science, and I'm a coach. So if you imagine that kind of conversation that you'd normally have with somebody, a party or whatever, they usually talk about what they do. They might talk about how they do that, but very rarely will you experience why they do it, where their real passion is that will enable you to go, oh, that sounds fascinating. That sounds really interesting. So what Simon says is go the other way. Start with what is your ultimate passion? What is your why? Then your how, then your what. So how do you find your why? How do you craft that so that you can sell it to somebody else so they start to buy into you and into your brand? Well, we're going to do very quickly, it's a why discovery. You might want to take some notes at this point if you haven't been already, or at least come back to this. Again, there's quite a few resources under Simon Sinek's work around finding your why. So that's the particular book that has some of these exercises that you can do. There's quite a lengthy, fuller experience you can go on. So I'm just going to take you through, I think, what's enough just to get you going so that you've got something to work on and play with. So what you're doing effectively is you're panning for gold. You're looking for gold nuggets in your personal experience about stories or experiences that you've had where you thought, do you know what, I did a great job there, or that was fantastic, that went so well, the feedback I got from the client was amazing. So what I'm going to ask you to do is find and tell specific stories of your experience of when you have felt most proud about your work. So finding those stories. I would say, first of all, you can do that as a reflective thing. Start to think through your career. If you're only just starting out as a freelancer, think back to what you did in previous jobs, or back in college, back in uni, back in school, whatever. Things that you did that really made you proud, where you produced something or created something or enabled something, or just delivered something that you thought, oh, I smashed that. I'm really proud of that experience. Now, the best thing to do once you've started to kind of pan for that gold, because you're looking for these gold nuggets of stories that ignite your passion and go, yeah, actually, that was a really proud moment for me. And I'm so glad that I did that or was part of that. I would really recommend that you find a thinking partner. Now, that could be your actual partner, could be your business partner, could be just friends. It could be someone who's connected through this freelance festival. Anybody where you could just share some stories and get a bit of space to think through. And on your screen, what you'll see is a number of questions to reflect on once you've sort of found a few of those stories. Now, your mission here is, I would say, find at least 3 stories from your past that really stand out, that make you feel proud. And it's a real felt thing here. Don't stick with your head. It's got to be a heart thing. It's got to be able to make you smile. And it's got to be able to make the listener smile, because they can really see that you genuinely feel proud of the piece of work that you did. Now, these are the kind of questions that I'd actually probably give your thinking partner, so that they can actually tease out of you and drill down, because whilst you might have seen something shiny in the water, actually what you need to do is keep sieving to really drill down to, yeah, but what was it about that you were proud? So you might have ran an event, for instance, like Richard is running this event. And after this, I'm sure he'll say it was amazing, it went really well, he was really proud of it. And this is a warning, Rich, because I will come back and do this. I want to really find out as a coach and a thinking partner, yeah, but what about it made you proud? Why did that give you such a buzz? What was it that you did that fitted with your particular purpose or goal in life? So when you're talking quite generically about stuff, you will need somebody to almost coach you through. And these are some of the questions that you could use. So how did it make you feel? What was it about this one you particularly loved? The question I really like is, if you only had 3 stories, why did you pick that one story out of all the potential stories that you could have had? And even if you couldn't find a story, you struggled to find a story, that is still data that you can use. So why is it? What is getting in the way of you finding stuff that you are proud of? Sometimes not finding stuff gives you information about actually what you want to be doing instead. Actually, how do you do work that really kind of fits with your passion, so that you are proud at the end of the day about what you've delivered? Just start to, even in your seat right now or wherever you might be listening to this, and just start to think about that. Think through the last year, the last 5 years, the last 10 years, and just pick out a couple of stories. Then ask yourself the questions that are on the screen and do your first kind of self-diagnostic around this. And then the next step is to find a thinking partner. And again, give them these sheets and actually give them the fact that you are trying to find your purpose. You are trying to find your why. And their job isn't to ask loads of questions. It's literally just stick to those questions to help you think. what you now need to do, and you can either do this on your own or you can do it with your thinking partner, is reflect on the 3 stories you told. Now, what you're looking for now is what's the theme in those stories? What's the golden nugget in each of those? What was the single moment of, this is why I am so proud of this? Because what you will find is there will be something that connects those stories together. And it's the golden nugget that you're looking for. So if I go right back to my first slide where I was showing you pictures of me facilitating, there was a picture of me teaching in India, there was a picture of me as a hike leader hiking a group of guys around the Peak District. When I told those stories about, well, why did I do that? And why did I get so much from those experiences? It was because in every single experience that I had, someone turned around and said, do you know what? I've never thought about that. Or you've really made me think. Or sometimes I've actually really irritated somebody. And they said, that's really irritating because I've never thought about it in that way. And with every experience that I drilled into to find that golden nugget, there were 2 key things that came out of it. The one message was around the amazing experience that you can get from seeing somebody else's light bulb go on. They go, oh my God, that's what I want to do. Or that's definitely not what I want to do. And I'm so glad I've thought and considered actually that there's different ways of approaching this particular thing. And the other golden nugget that I saw, when I hike leading or the charity work or the facilitation work, is actually people moving forward. That actually in the group in India, I saw a couple of leaders emerge from it. From the hike leading, what we've seen is that people have then gone on to orientation courses to become hike leaders themselves. When facilitating groups, actually the group found solutions that they've been stuck with for months and sometimes years. And it was purely because they had space to think that they were unable to reach that potential. So what you're doing is you're sifting your stories to find your themes so that you can do this why statement. A why statement is written in a certain way so that you can be quite succinct and clear, not only for yourself, but for your client about your purpose and your why, and to have that impact. At the end of the day, you're not just selling to your client, actually you're selling to your client's clients or your client's partners. When somebody buys a service from you, particularly when that service is you, eventually they're going to tell somebody that they bought the service from you, whether it's their boss, whether it's their financer, whether it's their team, whether it's their colleague. And eventually somebody will go, well, why did you pick that? So you need to come up with a statement, a why statement, that's clear enough for them to be able to remember. And one of the things going to help them remember it is because they are quite interested or excited about this value proposition that you're putting forward through your why statement, because they'll be able to remember it, recall it, repeat it, and go, oh, he's really interesting, or she's great because, and then sell that why for you. So this is a process that is in that particular resource from Simon Sinek, and it's called his why statement, and it's divided into 2 sections. The first is to blank, so that blank. So the to is your contribution. It's your how, really. So for me, to help other people think, or to help people think, is my contribution that I'm giving, well, to society, actually, because I don't just do it at work. I do it in my volunteering, and I do it as my hike leading. And to be honest, I do it with my mates, whether they like it or not at times. So my contribution to life and to society is to help people think. But that's not ultimately my purpose, because underneath that is still why. So why do I do that? Well, the reason I help other people think is because I want them to reach their potential. I really believe that with thinking a bit better, a bit clearer, people can really move on in their life, or whether it's their personal life, their business life, or whatever it might be. So the way that this is constructed here is to help people think so that they can achieve their full potential. So that's the impact. This is why working with me will make a difference. So if I'm the person buying your particular service, the to what is it that you're providing to me, the how bit, so that what's the impact that I would experience from using you as a freelance contractor. So to blank, so that blank. And again, this takes quite a bit of work, actually. I'm going to be honest, I'm still working on mine. There's still parts of it I just think, does that absolutely encapsulate me in terms of my passion? At the moment, it does. If I was to stretch it even further, I might go a bit further at the end, and I'll tell you something about that at the end of this presentation. So this is the why statement that you're going to be walking away with, and this is the thing I'd like you to try out. So where we're at now is that you should at least understand, hopefully, a bit about why starting with why can be so powerful, and why really successful companies start with why before they move to how and to the what. I just want to give you some guiding rules to this process, really, because it does take a while really to get right. And I've been playing with this for a couple of years, and I'm still working on it, still getting better, and I'm still getting better at helping others to use it. So the guiding rules is one of the things I would really recommend as a freelancer is that when you're working with a client, is as well as selling your particular why, discover what their why is as well. When I think about the service providers that I've contracted and commissioned work to, within that first relationship conversation via email, then phone, then face-to-face, actually, it wasn't just a sales pitch. Even with those that had very clear purpose, actually, one of the things that really hooked me in was that they were interested in my purpose. And I think one of your real gifts can be as a freelancer is that when you try and understand or find out what your client's why is, you may find they don't know. So actually, by just asking a few questions about the purpose of their business, or perhaps the purpose of their project. So I don't know, maybe you're a freelancer to help develop a conference for a multinational company. There is still something to explore with that client, not just what they want to do and how they want to do it, but why. Why is this conference so important? Because it's only when you ask why questions, we get them to their why proposition, their why statement. Can you find, actually, I can really help you with that? Because if I know what you're ultimately trying to achieve, I can find whether I'm the right person for it or not, because otherwise you could end up being contracted and halfway down the line, you're thinking, oh God, this isn't what I thought it was, and it's out of my skill level or my interest level or passion level. But also, you might actually help that client move forward in thinking things that they hadn't thought of before. They might go, yeah, why the hell are we having a conference in the way that we were thinking of doing it? Actually, let's completely rethink this and consider a new way of delivering what we're ultimately trying to achieve here. And believe me, if you start that process with them, they're not going to go, oh, we don't need a conference, that's it, thank you very much, you're not getting any business. They will probably want you as part of that journey. So what you're ultimately trying to do here is, by not just providing and selling your purpose, your why, and finding their particular purpose and their why, what you're trying to do is bring those two things together. So you're trying to connect the higher purpose. So it's not just that you're a conference provider or a great graphic designer or a facilitator, whatever it might be. You're trying to say, actually, the reason that you would use me over other graphic designers, freelancers, and whatever, is that actually we want the same thing. But there is a trap here, which is the money can be very necessary and lucrative and really buy you in. And what you can end up doing is trying to twist your why to fit theirs in order to get the business. I will leave that up to you whether or not you do that or not. But I can tell you now that they will smell that, because I can spot inauthenticity a mile off. And certainly when you're going for bigger contracts with more experienced providers, they will pick up that instantly. And if they don't pick it up instantly, they will soon discover it. They will soon find out that actually you didn't have the skill or the passion or the particular product. And usually this is, again, where freelancers can have a real edge on bigger companies, because the salesperson is only interested in getting that sale. They will tell you anything to get that particular sale, because that's where their commission is. Whether the business can actually provide that or not, whether it's got the values that they said that they had or not, doesn't matter. They're just trying to make that sale. And certainly what I found, and there's lots of literature about this, is that where products just go down the toilet is because people are promised things that then don't deliver. And they go, well, I'm never using that company again. So don't be that, because you will damage your brand. Be honest and authentic. Back to that story about saying, actually, do you know what? I might not be the right person for this, but there might be somebody else. They will remember that, and they will come back to you when that golden opportunity comes to really experience your passion, your why, through your great service and your great products. The other reason that it's really helpful to be able to walk away is because it will give you that reputation that you're looking for, that you know what you're talking about, you're honest, you're authentic, and actually you're good at what you do. Is that when you are in the journey, when you're delivering that product to that client, if you don't have a clear sense of the why we're doing this, it's very easy to go down rabbit warrens. You will hit bumps that you need to try and get over. And you may have already experienced this, but it's very easy to get mission drift. First of all, we are talking about developing this multinational conference, and then all of a sudden it's turned into a massive party. And I'm just thinking, how do we get over to there from there? That wasn't what I was commissioned and contracted to do. So when you've got a clear sense of the why, you can keep going back to it. It's almost like a course correction. So when you've got that course correcting ability, because hang on a sec, is this where we want to be going? When we start this off, you said your purpose was this. Is this still delivering that? Again, at least what it does is enable the client to reflect on, hang on a sec, has that changed? Or actually, have we drifted from actually what we were trying to achieve here? So it's not that why statement, the why journey isn't just for you. I think it's for your client as well. And I think if you can offer that, if you can practice this, you'll be able to add an extra element to whatever service, whatever product that you are offering your clients. So over to you, really. I believe we finished all of these sessions with some takeaway tips or some points to remember. So my points, the one that I would keep repeating is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. What's going to make you stand out from a highly competitive market that could quite easily undercut you on price? Maybe they've got more teams so they can provide extra resources that you can't. What will make you stand out? And that's you as a brand, as a product. And that will be around you very clearly being able to discover your why and articulate it. If you really want to be brave, don't just think about a business sense of why. Simon Sinek would pretty much say, actually, ultimately, what you're looking here is your life why. Why did you go into freelancing? Why is this the route and the career for you? Where's that come from? And where are you going? At the end of your life, what is it that you would like to have said about your life? So there is a bigger why question and panning for gold that I would recommend you do. But for the moment, just stick with the business why. It's the first step in. You can kind of take it from there. You definitely need to practice this with somebody else. It's really hard to do on your own, because actually somebody else needs to hear your stories. They need to see you light up with passion when they talk about a particular moment that you're proud of. And you need somebody to kind of challenge you, to really distill down, to pan for that golden nugget amongst all of that stuff, which really resonates with you about, yeah, this is what I'm passionate about. The reason I do graphic design is because I blah, 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 whatever. It isn't just because you like graphic designing, it's more than that. And that's what your why is. When you have that why, you've got it because it'll inspire you as well as your clients. Back to those sheep herders and the brilliant leadership program that they delivered. They absolutely believed in what they were talking about. It was a real pleasure to even get pitched by them, because they felt inspired by their own product. They said, this is brilliant. We absolutely believe this is brilliant because, and it's because of our purpose. So if you don't feel lightened up, if you don't think, oh, that's really inspirational, that gets me out of bed in the morning and gets me back to bed at night thinking that was great. If it's not inspiring you, it might not be the right why. You might need to carry on digging until you get to the right one. And from that inspiration, create that why statement. And once you've got that why statement, just keep trying it out. Just try it with friends, try it with safe colleagues, then try it with some strangers, and then try it with some clients, because it might take some fine tuning. Back to the fact that you're not just selling to your client, you're selling to your clients' clients and clients' partners. Can they really understand quite clearly your why? Having paragraphs of to and so that will not gel with them. It won't be memorable. It won't inspire you or bring out your passion. It needs to be something quite succinct. And as I said, I'm still practicing with mine. For me, my passion comes from helping people to think to achieve their full potential. Does my why statement completely do that? I think it mostly does. But in terms of still playing with it, fine-tuning it, well, come back and see what I tell you next time.